ever wondered why some leaders are admired and respected while other leaders are so terrible that they make you wonder why they ever got promoted in the first place? Let's be real. In every workplace, the staff kind of know who are the good managers or supervisors and who kind of suck at leading teams. And I'm sure if you take a moment to think about it, you can come up with one or two names of people who don't have a clue as how to manage people, and quite frankly could use some leadership skills training themselves. Or maybe you're a first-time leader who had a rocky start and you want a little help. That's why today's video is all about 4 things stopping you from being an effective leader. Whether you're an experienced leader, a new manager, or even if you don't supervise people, but you want to avoid a few of the mistakes that you've seen others make, this video is for you. I'll share 4 tips so that you know the key things that are holding you back from being the successful leader that you're after. So if you want to know more, give this video a thumbs up and keep watching. I'm Jeboria and welcome to my channel, the best place for new and emerging leaders who want help navigating challenging conversations in the workplace. Today's video is part 2 of what's stopping you from being the best leader that you can be. In that first video, I shared 3 things that prevent leaders from being successful and how to avoid those pitfalls. In this video, I'll share 4 more tips of how to be an effective leader. So if you haven't watched the companion video, be sure to check it out after you're done watching this one. I'll also leave the link in the description box below for you. Now let's get into tip number 1. The first thing that could be stopping you from being an effective leader is poor performance management. First, let's talk about what performance management is and what effective performance management looks like for a leader. According to the UC Berkeley's Division of People and Culture, the definition of performance management is as follows. Performance management is an ongoing process of communication between a supervisor and an employee that occurs throughout the year in support of accomplishing the strategic objective of the organization. The communication process includes clarifying expectations, setting objectives, identifying goals, providing feedback, and reviewing results. End quote. I believe that this includes letting staff know what they're doing well, regular coaching conversations to address performance concerns, and holding employees accountable for their work and for their actions. There are many leaders who find the constructive feedback part of the job challenging, and they would rather skip that part by avoiding it altogether. Be sure to check out my video called 5 Things That Effective Leaders Know About Communication for Leadership Success, where I share why those conversations should not be avoided. Leaders who avoid these encounters do this with the hope that it will work itself out during the annual performance review. This kind of avoidance behavior doesn't help anyone. It's important for leaders to have a clear understanding of how well they perform on a regular basis, as your staff should know this as well. Leaders should also identify and share key areas of growth so that employees have an opportunity to work on them. There are many leaders who prefer the part of the job that deals with management of the actual work processes, and they don't like dealing with people or managing people. They prefer to avoid that part of the job. You see, leaders often get this confused. The people/performance management portion of the work is a very large part of a leader's role. Some would say that the primary function of a leader's responsibility is the management of the people who do the actual work. Author Brené Brown talks about vulnerability in leadership in her book called Dare to Lead. Listen, I get it. Managing how well or how poorly people perform their work duties is hard. What I found as I coach and consult with leaders who find this aspect of the job particularly challenging is that leaders want to do a good job no matter what the role, especially when it comes to giving feedback. One of the major challenges is that it's just hard finding the right words and knowing how to communicate with employees. They also find it difficult to know how to respond during a performance review because they're not sure what the employee might say or how the employee might react during that review. Something to keep in mind is that those conversations are manageable and they don't necessarily need to be difficult encounters. With the right game plan, you can master those conversations in a way that leaves you and the employee feeling good about the exchange. As I consult with leaders who experience similar challenges, I've been able to offer a few techniques and strategies to help those meetings become less anxiety-provoking. As a result, those leaders were able to tackle the performance management reviews with confidence and with just a positive outlook. If you're interested in getting some help with this, reach out to me. I'll leave my contact information in the description box below so that you can set a discovery call with me. The second thing that could be stopping you from being an effective leader is how you manage change. The truth is that change is all around us, and the workplace is no different. An example of this is that all over the world, people are trading office spaces for telecommuting or teleworking options, and the internet has given us access to a global community. As leaders, we must learn to become change agents. This means that we need to be flexible and to have agile minds that encourage creativity, innovation, and forward thinking. People are often uncertain and most vulnerable during times of change. This is when leaders are needed the most. This doesn't mean that just because you're the leader, you'll always know how to manage change or you'll always know what to do. But the key is to acknowledge the change and communicate that you are aware of what's going on. When you acknowledge the change, thing or situation or environment, it'll go a long way in reducing team anxiety. This is because consistent communication provides some assurance, however small, that there's someone guiding the ship or leading the way. Failure to communicate in times of change can be harmful to your reputation as a leader, and it can definitely place you on rocky footing with your team. Even if, as the leader, you don't have all the answers, you should communicate that you're aware of what's going on and you're willing to partner with your team as you guide them through navigating the change. Here are 2 additional tips that may assist you with communicating changes whether you know what to do or not. So the first thing that you can do is, if you have a plan, you should disclose it. Transparency, whenever it's possible, can be a very effective tool in the change management process. This is because people feel more at ease when they know what's going on. So be sure to disclose your plan if you can, as soon as you can. And then the second thing you can do, if you don't have a plan to deal with the change, you should share that too. Sometimes even the most experienced leaders get caught off guard by unexpected changes. When this happens, acknowledging that the change was unexpected may be an option for you. This is because when a leader combines transparency with being genuine, this can go a long way in building trust with your team. You can also follow it up with the fact that although you don't have an immediate plan, you're working to develop a course of action after you've had time to assess the situation. This will have the added bonus of making you a more relatable leader. Now, I have a question for you. What's the most important thing that you can do to help your team manage change? Let me know in the comments below. Okay, so the third thing that could be stopping you from being an effective leader is your comfort with the status quo. One of the most common things that holds leaders back from being effective is not being bold and daring enough to challenge current assumptions. A part of a leader's role is to get things done and initiate new ideas while incorporating new systems or processes. Sometimes organizations lack innovation or people with innovative ideas. People within these organizations tend to want to do things the way that they've always been done. And there usually aren't solid business associated reasons for refusing to think differently. This can become a problem for a leader who wants to explore new ideas and deviate from the norm to improve systems. In his allegory called "That's Not How We Do It Here," author John Carter weaves a tale about challenging workplace assumptions and shifting mindsets. He does this interestingly through a storytelling in his fable about meerkats that represents people working in an office environment. Among other themes in the book, John Carter demonstrates that we can positively influence others as we introduce new ideas. This can sometimes lead to noticeably positive change in organizations and in our culture. This would also work to strengthen teams. It's important to remember that going against the status quo by introducing new ideas doesn't need to happen in an aggressive manner. It can come in the form of asking questions that debunk common myths about how or why your team does something so that you can work together to improve processes. It's also important to speak up when something doesn't seem right and use data and real-time examples to support your position or to refute things that don't serve the company, the team, or your customers. Leaders must sometimes challenge operating assumptions in order to ensure effectiveness and increase productivity. The fourth thing stopping you from being an effective leader is that you're afraid to fail and make mistakes. It is common knowledge that we all make mistakes, but in leadership, there's this thought that leaders need to appear to be perfect in order to show that you're capable of leading teams. This often shows up in the form of not admitting mistakes and being afraid to let people know that you don't always have it all together. The truth is that sometimes leaders have no idea what to do when faced with new challenges. Most people just really learn as they go. Making mistakes allows us to learn from them and build our leadership experience as we move along. A quote from Adam Osborne states that the most valuable thing you can make is a mistake. You can't learn anything from being perfect, and that's so true. Admitting to failures and making mistakes can sometimes make us feel vulnerable, but being vulnerable can be an advantage as it provides an opportunity for us to connect with other people who may have experienced the same thing. Be sure to check out my video where Brené Brown talks about vulnerability being a good thing for leaders. I'll leave the card up here and I'll also leave the link in the description box below. The truth is that people connect with other people who aren't afraid to admit their mistakes and say when they don't have things figured out. This is because people can connect on a deeper level because we all understand what it feels like when we don't have all the answers, and each of us knows what it feels like to fail at something. So my motto is, don't sweat it if you can learn from it. Write that in the comments below if you agree. Poet and activist Nikki Giovanni wrote, "Mistakes are a fact of life. It is the response to the error that counts," and I agree with that. Comment below and let me know which of these tips is your favorite. The key takeaway here is that there are many things about leadership that we pick up along the way, and as we learn more, we do better. As long as you keep an open mind with a willingness to learn and grow, chances are you'll be a successful leader. Now, if you're watching this video and you haven't seen the companion video where I provide 3 more tips on what's stopping you from being an effective leader, don't forget to check that out. The link is also in the description box below. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell so that you'll know each time I post a new video. As always, have a great week, be kind to yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.